Over the last weeks, we have witnessed violent demonstrations on the 67 lines between Israel and Gaza. Palestinians are using children and women as human shields in order to place explosive charges and shoot at the Israeli soldiers. So who is really behind this, encouraging the Gazans to attack Israel? For the last 47 years, I've been following closely the situation in Gaza. So let me tell you what's really going on there. Until 1987, when the first Intifada broke out, more than 200,000 Gazans worked in Israel. In December 1987, Sheikh Ahmed Yassin founded the terror organization Hamas. Yassin pushed his terrorists to carry out terror attacks against Israel in and from the Gaza Strip. In 1994, following the Oslo Accords, the Palestinian Authority was established in Gaza and gained control over all of the Palestinian residents in Gaza. At the same time, Hamas began sending terrorists to commit suicide attacks inside Israel. Hundreds of Israelis were murdered. These attacks even intensified in the Second Intifada, which broke out in September 2000. More than 1,000 Israelis were killed and thousands others were injured. The Gaza Strip has turned into an incubator for terrorists. In September 2005, Israel carried out the disengagement plan. Gaza remained within the frame of the 67 lines with no Israelis at all. Nevertheless, the terror from Gaza against Israel has evolved into a real war. In 2007, Hamas took control of the Gaza Strip in a military coup and expelled Palestinian Authority from there. 11 years have passed, and the Palestinian president has not visited Gaza ever since. Throughout this period, Israel continued to supply electricity and water, but Hamas has fired rockets toward these power and water stations. And at both crossings, Hamas committed terror attacks. Despite all of these attacks, Israel never stopped supplying Gaza with electricity, water, and goods. The shelves in the Gazan stores are full with goods, but the wallets of the Gazans are simply empty. The taxes imposed by Hamas on the people of Gaza kill them economically. And how did Hamas spend this money? Instead of caring of the people of Gaza, Hamas invested tens of millions of dollars in rocket production and launched more than 20,000 of them at Israel in recent years. During last months, Hamas has been facing serious difficulties. On the one hand, Israel has successfully blocked its terror programs. On the other hand, money promised to them from the Palestinian Authority and Arab countries barely arrived. How did Hamas choose to get out of this situation? They came up with a new plan, the Great March of Return. مصيرة العودة الكبرى. And where do they want to return? To Tel Aviv, Ashkelon, Beersheba, and the rest of Israel. It's not the 67 lines that interest them. They are already there. They want a right of return by force. Since the tunnels and rockets failed, the Gazans are now terrorizing Israel by burning the wheat fields and the trees inside Israel. Where they have burned wheat fields, they will try to burn human beings. Instead of establishing a new Singapore in Gaza, Hamas only left the poor. So if you really care about the Palestinians and really want to help the people of Gaza, free Gaza from Hamas.